Hold on to your cowboy hats because Nashville's golden boy just went full courtroom meltdown, and this time, no guitar solo could save him. In a twist so wild it makes Tiger King look like a church documentary. Keith Urban's picture-perfect world just cracked open like a backstage whiskey bottle. FBI files, leaked recordings, offshore accounts, and one country singer named Maggie Baugh holding evidence so explosive it could power the entire CMA Awards. Who saw this coming? The man who serenaded the world about love and redemption now finds himself center stage in a scandal that's less country ballad and more federal indictment soundtrack. But here's where it gets juicier. This isn't just a marriage gone bad or a celebrity feud. Oh no, this is the kind of chaos that makes Hollywood's publicists call in sick. Because the whispers say Maggie didn't just bring the receipts, she brought the whole damn cash register. What exactly did she uncover? How deep does this rabbit hole of fame, fraud, and forbidden affairs go? And most importantly, how did country music's clean-cut sweetheart end up headlining the biggest courtroom drama since Johnny Depp took the stand? Buckle up, cause this rodeo is about to go nuclear. When the first whispers started echoing through Nashville's smoky studios, nobody believed them. Keith Urban, the wholesome guitar-strumming country icon with a charming smile and squeaky clean image. Impossible. But then came the leaks. Anonymous insiders, late-night emails, and one mysterious USB drive allegedly dropped off at a downtown law office. That's when the story took its first dark turn. According to early reports, this wasn't just a minor scandal or a marital spat. It was a full-blown financial labyrinth involving fake charities, hidden bank accounts, and secret deals buried under layers of creative investments. And standing right in the center of it all was the rising starlet Maggie Baugh. Once Keith's biggest fan, now his biggest threat. Sources close to the couple claimed the chaos began years ago, when Keith and Nicole Kidman launched a joint foundation aimed at empowering young artists. It looked noble, sounded heartfelt, and played perfectly into their PR image as the golden duo of country meets Hollywood. But behind the glossy gala-nights and million-dollar donations, money was allegedly moving fast and quietly. A whistleblower described it best. They weren't supporting art. They were supporting their own empire. And that's where Maggie entered the scene. She was young, talented, and dangerously ambitious. Keith took her under his wing, or maybe under his radar, depending on who you ask. What started as mentorship soon became a whispered secret across every Nashville bar. The mentor and the muse were spending more time in studios than at home. The tension didn't explode all at once. It built slowly, like a storm over Tennessee. First came odd financial filings. Then came missing funds. Nicole, ever the composed Hollywood powerhouse, reportedly brushed it off until her own accountant noticed a few of her film project funds had been redirected into one of Keith's creative ventures. That's when the alarms went off. Private investigators were hired. Emails were traced. And Maggie's name appeared in places it never should have, on contracts, expense reports, and private correspondence. That's when Nicole's mother, Janelle, stepped into the picture. A retired psychologist with the patience of a saint and the temper of a prosecutor. She reportedly told her daughter, he's not mentoring her. He's managing a cover-up. But what nobody could predict was that Maggie wasn't just another piece of collateral. Damage in this messy sagashi was holding evidence. Hard, incriminating, career-ending evidence. Screenshots, voice memos, bank receipts. Things that didn't just suggest wrongdoing, they screamed it. And when she walked into that courtroom, every pair of eyes turned to her like she was carrying the nuclear codes of Nashville. The tension was suffocating. Cameras flashed. Reporters shouted. Keith Urban tried to keep his composure, but the sweat told another story. Then, Maggie's lawyer stood, placed a folder on the judge's desk, and said 9 words that silenced the room. Your Honor, this evidence will change everything today. And that's exactly where the perfect country love story began to unravel. Courtroom atmosphere. That morning felt less like a legal proceeding and more like the season finale of a scandal-filled reality show. Every seat was taken, every journalist had their mic ready, and every camera was pointed straight at Keith Urban when Maggie Ba's lawyer opened that infamous folder. What spilled out wasn't just evidence, it was chaos wrapped in paper. Inside were email transcripts between Keith's management and a network of shell companies registered in the Cayman Islands. Payments labeled as production bonuses and studio investments were allegedly being funneled to accounts linked to Maggie's name. At first, the story seemed clear. Keith had been caught financing his rising protege in ways that blurred the line between business and betrayal. But then came the twist. Maggie claimed she had no knowledge of those accounts and that she was being framed. The courtroom erupted in gasps. Could it be that Maggie wasn't the villain or even the accomplice, but the pawn in a game much bigger than herself? Her attorney painted her as the whistleblower, not the partner in crime. She discovered these payments only after Keith's accountant accidentally sent her an internal audit, the lawyer declared, holding up a printed email. She came forward because she believed in the truth. But the truth in this story had layers thicker than Nashville fog. Another document suggested that Nicole Kidman's production firm, Southern Light Entertainment, had unknowingly transferred funds into the same creative development pool that financed Maggie's early music videos, meaning Nicole herself might have been bankrolling. The very scandal that could destroy her marriage. Public reaction was instant and vicious. Hashtags like Keithgate and Maggie Files started trending within minutes. Late-night hosts turned the courtroom transcripts into punchlines. TikTok sleuths began dissecting Maggie's old interviews, searching for hidden confessions in her lyrics. Meanwhile, Keith's PR team went into full damage control, releasing a statement that read more like a hostage note than a defense. Mr. Urban maintains his innocence and has full confidence the truth will emerge. But the problem was, everyone had a different version of the truth. Then, as if the plot needed more gasoline, an anonymous Reddit user claiming to be a former studio technician dropped what they called the missing hard drive. The files, they claimed, contained deleted recordings from Keith's unreleased album. Sessions allegedly produced during the same period the money went missing. Rumors flew that one of those recordings captured a private conversation between Keith and Maggie discussing the transfers. Though the files were never verified, the internet had already decided. Keith is done. One Twitter user posted, "You can't sing about honesty when your guitar's tuned to deceit." By the end of that day, fans who once sang along to Blue Ain't Your Color were rewriting it as Money Ain't Your Problem. Brands started backing out of endorsements. A major tour sponsor suspended their contract pending review. And Keith, he just sat there in the courtroom, staring down at the table, as if every lyric he'd ever written was now testifying against him. And just when the dust seemed ready to settle, a new name appeared in the records, someone nobody expected to be involved. That new name changed everything. Trent Mallory. To most, the name meant nothing. But to those who knew Nashville's underbelly, Trent was the ghost in every contract. The fixer who cleaned up celebrity messes before they hit the press. And now, his name was on wire transfers tied to Keith Urban's foundation accounts. According to an anonymous source inside the Attorney General's office, Trent had been managing quiet settlements for high-profile clients for over a decade. Musicians, politicians, even producers who had skeletons buried deeper than their record vaults. If Trent was involved, it meant the scandal wasn't a random accident. It was a controlled operation. Someone had orchestrated it. And Maggie might have been the bait. When Trent's alleged involvement went public, everything spiraled. Journalists dug up his connections to a media consulting firm that handled crisis communication. For several celebrities, including, yes, Keith and Nicole. Suddenly, the narrative flipped again. Was Keith really the villain? Or just the latest puppet in a web spun by Nashville's shadow handlers? A leaked voicemail, allegedly from Keith's assistant, hinted that Trent had advised Keith to keep Maggie close because she's leveraged if the foundation deal goes south. That single line, became the headline on every major entertainment outlet. Public sympathy shifted in real time. Keith wasn't just trending, he was imploding. Meanwhile, Maggie's so-called secret evidence began circulating online. Screenshots, voice notes, even clips of her crying during studio sessions were uploaded to forums faster than they could be taken down. Fans debated whether she was brave or manipulative, genuine or cunning. One of her leaked messages to a friend read, "They promised to make me a star, but I didn't know the price."
Oh,
That line alone became the tagline of every reaction video and news thumbnail across YouTube. Suddenly, she wasn't the accused, she was the headline victim in a scandal too twisted for fiction.